Apparently we're live. I didn't hit the loop button. So we're going to go ahead and hit the loop button, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Hello, and welcome to Taking Over. This is the first time you're seeing either one of us tonight. You didn't see anything earlier. It was a figment of your imagination. I'm Ed Fries. I'm joined by my tag team partner, Astrid. She got the hands right this time. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. So NXT last week was back on track. Because 2 weeks ago, cluster.
Yep.
First, we're going to go ahead and say hello to Joe Moran. We've already said hello to Parrish, but hello, Joe. Thank you for joining us. As Parrish said, Ed and Buttons already, and I said, shh, Parrish, nobody saw anything. So, then I joined Astrid on her show, Making an Impact, with Parrish, and we all agreed that that show lacked many things. And we were very critical of the show. That being said, we get to this week's NXT. I don't know if it was the product or me, but they did nothing to pull me in. And that might just be me, because it seemed like everything was really good. We have Mighty Joe saying hello to Parrish. Hopefully we can have Mighty Joe on streams again at some point in the near future. But Astrid, go ahead and just talk to me about what you thought about. Because, like, they opened cold, and I felt like it really threw the flow off the show. What were your thoughts?
I didn't even know how to describe it, to be honest. I kept thinking, no, this is the first match. And I don't know if it was me being tired, the weather getting to me, because I've been, like, kind of sick and kind of not at the same time. And then I felt myself zoning out during this episode, and I'm like, it's not the show hasn't been bad. I can't concentrate on it. And that's why I asked you, like, how do you feel? You told me you felt the same. Well, I'm glad it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't that the show was lacking anything, because the things the show did, it did pretty well. But man, if nothing felt urgent until the main event. Mm-hmm. Even the biggest match on the card that wasn't for a championship didn't feel big because of the people in the ring. We'll get to my thoughts on that in a little bit, because I have thoughts. But we're going to start cold, kind of like NXT did. They did a cold open, no video package, no nothing. We jump in backstage with the Creeds talking about Christmas dinner, and Brutus stealing, I think it was the green beans, I think Brutus stole. Yeah. I don't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. I don't know why Julius would be upset not having green beans. Trust me, Julius, they're not that great. You don't need them. It's fine. Julius, you could honestly put on a little bit of weight. Like, I'll be honest. I mean, I know Astrid likes the washboard abs that you have right now. But Julius versus JD McDonough. This was fun. Like, this was a good, quick match. Little faster than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Again, the biggest thing I'll say about this is it was good. It was fine. Nothing stood out to me, with the exception of one thing, and it's Julius's finish. When they're not in a tag team match, Julius's finish looks entirely out of place. It looks to the point where it looks stupid. I mean, it's not a great finish to begin with. The sliding clothesline that he does with the guy on the ground isn't the greatest thing in the world to begin with, in my mind. It doesn't make me feel like match over kind of move. But in a tag team environment where you've got Brutus doing his setup and then you have the finish, it works a little bit better. What did you think of the match? And give me your thoughts on the finish.
Yeah, I feel like nothing stood out to me. And just when the match ended, it didn't feel like it ended, if that makes sense. It just, here. I like the ending in the sense of, like, he took advantage of JD not doing the moonsault, took advantage of it and got the win. But when the pin happened, like, in the ending itself, I didn't think, I was like, oh, that's it. I kept thinking something more was going to happen, because I felt like too quick for me. But yeah, just like I wish a match would have been a little bit longer than what it was, because I feel like they had a good pacing, and just when the pacing was good, I feel like it ended. So it didn't, like, it should have been a little bit more than that, and I wish it had been, because I feel like they were doing so good together, and it just kind of felt like it ended abruptly in a way. That's the best way I can describe it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the way I wanted it to end, to be honest.
There's a better match to be had between these two because they have good chemistry. Everything they did in the ring looked good, felt good. The match was all right. But like I said, something was like, and again, it could just be me. It could just be you. We didn't feel a whole lot on this show. So maybe it was just stuff like that. We got Parrish saying in, don't see why JD's always losing. He's one of the few guys there that can do just about anything when asked and shouldn't be used in this role. No, I get it. I mean, I think the thing that they're doing with JD, and I like this. They do this a lot with some of their talent. Once they cycle you out of that main roster title picture, sorry, not the main roster, when they cycle you out of the NXT Championship picture, sometimes you take a step back and you take a couple big losses, especially with Diamond Mine, because they're trying to see what they have in singles competitors in Brutus and Julius. It's obvious that's exactly what they're doing. The entire purpose of this program is to get to see what Julius has. I saw a couple of tweets, Katie Kinsey being one of them, that talked about how that she thinks that Julius can be a star when he eventually goes solo. I think he's got enough of the tools to be a star when he goes solo. He needs a better finish. I will continue to harp on this because the one thing you typically remember about a wrestler is how they finish their matches. Finishes are important. Shawn Michaels' super kick as his finish is important. Nobody remembers that he used to do a teardrop suplex as a finish. They all remember the thrust kick that ends up turning into the super kick. That's his finish. The Undertaker's tombstone. The chokes. Yes, Parrish, but that's because me and you love Shawn Michaels way more than either one of us should.
Oh gosh.
Oh boy, the Ole references are coming fast and furious tonight. This could be fun. After the match finishes, Indus comes out and they say it's on for New Year's Evil. Great. Again, I go back to what I've said before. I'm going to continue fantasy booking it this way. This match at New Year's Evil needs to be 3 minutes. It needs to be an absolute stomp by Indus. I think if that's what happens, I think that's the key to making Indus feel like a big deal, especially if they're going to be the ones that take the titles off New Day. What do you think?
Yeah, especially because if you think about it this way, we really haven't seen them in the ring. If anything, they have done promos, they attack somebody for the match. We really haven't seen them in an official match. So if this is the first one, they're holding off it for this to be the first match for them in NXT like this, then you got to show them off kind of like monsters type of, group and make them unstoppable. And one way to do will be, like you said, to give that shock. Like imagine they open the show with them beating up Diamond Mine this one. It just like people are gonna be just like gasping because they're like, wait, this is it? This is how it ends? And people wondering about the finish and what's next for Diamond Mine afterwards. So I think it's like if this is the first match, you definitely had to start with an exclamation point, and one way to do will be to do that too.
Yeah, I think it'll make narratively it makes a lot of sense that Indus waited until they were healthy. They wanted them healthy. They wanted them 100%. And then Diamond Mine has to go back to the drawing board like, oh my God, we just got obliterated. What do we do to do this? Because remember, this whole thing starts with JD McDonough backstage trying to talk to Ivy Nile about how they have to attack Indus in a different way. And I like the idea of trying to change Diamond Mine a little bit. Because Lord knows it's no longer Diamond Mine. It's the Creeds and Ivy and Ivy's little pet. I'm sorry, but Tatum Paxley doesn't count. Not yet. She hasn't done enough. We get a backstage vignette with Tony I say vignette. It was a backstage segment with Mackenzie. God, we saw a lot of her again tonight.
Yeah.
She was a trooper tonight. We saw a lot of her tonight. Tony D'Angelo and Stax doing the basic, hey, we're going to beat Wes Lee. Hey, Dijak's not going to get involved. I had a chat with him. Cue Dijak getting involved. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. We then had Cora Jade versus Wendy Chu. But first, we had the Schism promo for the 6-man tag. This was really good. These 4 do a really good job with that. You can tell who they give a damn about when they do these vignettes and who they don't care about, and we'll talk more about that as we go later on. But they really put some effort into this Schism promo package, and it looked great. And I'm like, oh, they're on the show tonight. I'm really excited to watch them wrestle. I don't care who they're wrestling. I don't care about the team they were wrestling, but I wanted to see the Schism in the ring. We then get Wendy Chu's entrance. Her music starts. She comes to the ramp. She takes about 2 steps before Astrid just throws everything on the ground like a spoiled little girl and goes running to the ring to beat up Cora Jade. Go ahead and talk more about this match. As you know, obviously you were a part of it, so.
Yeah, still hurts. No, I'm kidding. No, I liked it because I feel like we saw something different from her tonight, which is what I wanted for a little bit now. Because I felt like it was like all fun and games for quite a while. So it's nice to see a different side of her. And I like how in commentary they keep bringing up was like she's taking her aggression on her, thinking back of like the bullies that she had when she was younger. And she's like seeing them in Cora and taking it out on Cora, which I like that connection, how they make it to like her aggressiveness tonight. And I feel like it adds another layer to her character because we haven't seen anything like this from her in quite a while. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see it in the ring too. I still thought Cora was gonna win because I feel like Cora is probably getting the push out of anybody. So I was not expecting Wendy to win at all. So I was really glad that she did it because I feel like it just puts an exclamation point of like, here, this is what her character is like, and they gave us that tonight. So I was really glad that we saw a different side of her tonight more than anything. That was like my highlight with her.
Yeah, again, fine match. Outcome wasn't what I expected it to be. I agree. Mm-hmm. I thought that we were building towards Cora Jade for the championship. It doesn't seem like that's where we're going now, so I'm curious to see what Cora Jade does for the foreseeable future, because I think not only do we have the next challenger, I think, for the women's championship challengers set up, but I think we've got challengers all the way to WrestleMania to stand and deliver. It'll be interesting. We'll talk more about that as we get there. Wendy had a great match. I like you said, the character involvement of the evolution of Wendy Chu's character. She's not the happy-go-lucky girl. Cora brought something different out of her. I like the idea that they were playing with that Cora Jade is too focused on Roxanne Perez in the championship. There was another great storytelling thing from the commentary booth, who had a surprisingly really good night tonight. Booker didn't seem to be all over the place for the most part tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
We then get, as my notes say, Ikemanjiro bitching about his jacket. Yeah, he kept talking about the jacket. I hate the jacket. I hate Ikemanjiro, and I hate the jacket. But this is one of the things that proves the people they care about and the people they don't. Like, Ikemanjiro got this walking promo, and it just felt like we have to put him on TV to promo this match because God knows nobody cares about the match we're about to have. Whereas when we had the Schism promo, when we had the JD McDonough promo, when we had the Creeds promo, it felt like it was hyping the match. And it made me want to see a match. Whereas it was just like, Ikemanjiro has to be on TV to talk about the fact that... Because honestly, I forgot he didn't have the jacket.
Me too.
Yeah, I forgot. So the segment was important because it reminded me that he doesn't have the jacket right now.
No, I kept looking at him and I kept thinking something's missing, but I couldn't picture what it was.
Oh, he told you about 5 times what it was.
I know, but when I first saw him, I was like, wait, I feel like something's not right here. And I couldn't pinpoint it. He's like, talking about the jacket. It's like, ooh, that's what it is. Like, gosh, I'm terrible at this. And then not only that, but I kept thinking after the jacket thing, just like, who is he supposed to go against?
Yeah, I forgot that one too.
I kept thinking, I think I watch this show on a weekly basis, or do I really? Because I feel like I lost myself. And it was too early to get lost.
I'll be honest, until the video package, I honestly thought he was taking on Javier Bernal. I really thought he was still taking on Javier Bernal. I forgot that it was Scripps.
I completely forgot. I kept trying to think in my mind, as he talked about the jacket, I was thinking he's going to mention his opponent. And I kept thinking, who the heck is he supposed to be against? And I kept trying to think of a process of elimination somehow. Like, not that one, not that one. Certainly not that one. I'm like, I
All right,
don't know who it
it's
is.
nobody important, so it's like it can only be like 5 people because it's nobody important.
I
And
couldn't
Hank
think
Walker
of
has something going
anybody.
on tonight. We then have JBBJ with Fallon backstage talking about Team Fallon and making sure that everybody's on the same page. And Brooks Jensen in the special new shirt that he was given by Kiana James, which was nice. We then get to the Ika Manjiro match, where I'm going to go ahead and take from my Slack conversation. I didn't pay attention to anything that happened in this match. No, I didn't send that note. I received that note. So I'm going to go ahead and do yeoman's work on this match. And considering it's Ika Manjiro, and I'm going to actually talk about the match, that should say something. But an angry Ika Manjiro looks great. I'm going to tell you, I really enjoyed this match. This was the first match that I truly enjoyed on the entire show. Like, the Wendy Chu match was
okay?
Good. I didn't like the people in the match. But Ika Manjiro, if we can flip him heel and give him an edge and an attitude, his skill set so goes with that role. Him being an angry, mean guy fits the strong style character, or the style strong character that he portrays on screen. And seeing those shotes right to the face, just over and over and over again, I kind of got into it. Dare I say I could be down for a heel Ika Manjiro. By the way, the Scripps character still blows. Reggie deserves so much better. Reggie's good in the ring. Like, for everything that Reggie's not, he's not... He is a pro wrestler, but he's not your prototypical pro wrestler. He's very green still. But you know what the dude does? He's entertaining. Everything he does in the ring, he does incredibly well. He doesn't botch. We'll talk about that later. He doesn't make his opponent look bad. Every time he's in there, he's typically in there with people who can make him look good. But more importantly, he holds up his end of the bargain. Kind of like a celebrity wrestler. I really like Reggie as a wrestler, and I wish they would give him a better character, because this Scripps character blows. Because it's 3 different characters at once, and none of them make any sense. we get it. Oh, hold on. We have Paris jumping in. Reggie deserves better. The Scripps could have been huge, but instead was Reggie. Scripps deserves. No. The Scripps promos deserve better. The Scripps character that we've been given doesn't. Because the Scripps character in the ring, the attire and everything else, is dog shit. Absolute dog shit. It looks like something that you'd see from the first match from a guy on his first indie outing. No, it's not, because it's Reggie. We will talk about this another day. It's not because it's Reggie. The character that we had in the promo packages versus the character we have on television are 2 entirely different people, and that has nothing to do with who's under the mask.
I kind of wish it would just kind of tell us in a way that Scripps will come out and say this was not Scripps all along, kind of thing, and just give us somebody else at this point and something else. Because why? It's like I was so excited with these promos, thinking, oh, this is cool. Somebody that was from the past is coming back to do something to NXT, take over it. How do you gotta take over if you have Reggie doing this every single week?
I agree. Reggie's not the best person to be Scripps. I think these need to be 2 different characters. Because like I said, I think Reggie, from everything we saw on Raw, in the things that we see in the ring from Reggie, from a talent perspective, Reggie can do great things. The Scripps character, based on the promos we saw, could be huge. Could have been great. They botched that. They absolutely just train wrecked that. There's no fixing it. But I don't think it's to blame Reggie, because I think creative gave us one thing, and we got something else from the character that we're seeing in the ring. Reggie almost made Dana Brooke the second worst thing on my TV at the time. I
We're not
mean,
making this a 2-hour show. No, no, no. Let's keep going.
no,
Thanks,
no.
Parrish.
I didn't say Reggie was the greatest thing. Reggie has work to do. Reggie needs help. I'm just saying that there's a way to build a character around Reggie. Similar to what you have with Axiom. Similar to what you... Like, think about it. We have 2 masked wrestlers right now in NXT. We have Axiom, who looks cool, has a gimmick that makes sense, feels like a masked wrestler. And then we have Reggie, which feels like a Halloween costume. And not a good Halloween costume. This is the Halloween costume to pick up at Walmart the day before Halloween.
I was gonna say, don't say cosplay, please, because at least people that cosplay are creative.
No, cosplay. I have plenty of friends who do cosplay. Those things are expensive as hell, and they're incredibly intricate. It's not cosplay. It's Halloween costume. There's a difference. Moving on. Oh, hold on. We're gonna. Reggie's like an inmate with a stutter. A sentence that will never be finished. Maybe. We then had an Oro Mensa promo, which I didn't bother to listen to. I have no idea what he said. No way Jose 2.0 was talking. They had a promo for the Bird Lady. And I went, oh, great, she's back.
I saw it and I kept thinking of you while I was watching. I was like, I wonder what Ed is thinking about at this moment. Oh, jeez.
Scripps deserves better. Reggie deserves better. There are 2 really good characters in those things. But we'll have to leave that for now. We'll get back to it another day. We then had an Alba Fire promo. And this is the difference between promos they care about and promos they don't care about. They have made sure that ever since Isla Dawn showed up during that last woman standing match, that nothing gets in the way of telling her story. She has been, mostly via promos, she has been on TV every week since she debuted. In that last moment where she goes ahead and pushes Kaylee Ray, push Alba Fire off the ladder, she's been on TV every week. Alba Fire and her doing dueling promos, but they give them 60 seconds at most. They're probably 30-second promos. But they've told an incredible story in, was it 5 weeks?
Yeah,
this is a match that feels like it's been brewing for 2 months. And we're getting an extreme resolution match. By the way, there will be no resolution. It's going to be an Extreme Rules match. It's going to be fun. Unfortunately, we then get Bird Lady versus Lash Legend.
Which one do you like less?
There was a referee in this match. Can I like the referee? I honestly don't even remember which referee it was. Yes, I know her name is Lila Valkyrie. But you know what? She doesn't deserve a name. Because she's boring. I feel nothing when I watch her. I don't feel anything when I watch her promos. All I feel is that she's Bird Lady. To be honest, until almost the end of the match, I thought Lash Legend was having a really good match in this match. I thought she was doing really well.
Are you okay?
Not
That's
like
been
that.
twice that you've been positive about other people.
No, hold on. And then Lash Legend decided that she was going to go into botch mode. Because they tried to do, I think it was a tilt-a-whirl DDT. And Lash just falls at some point. And then Lyra goes for the kick. And Lash is like jumping out of the way and taking her cell a good 20 seconds before the kick is even near her face.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're gonna point out the same thing I did, because there was also, I forgot what they were doing exactly, but they had a back and forth at the moment. And when she, like, you see Lash is standing there, and then Lyra just comes in and takes her down, and I'm like, you tell me you didn't have time to like do something and avoid her? She did. She definitely did. If you think about it from that aspect, and she was just like standing there, waiting for her to come at her, and just like, oh, okay, that's it. And then when she picked up Lash, they just went down together at one point towards the end too. It was like, if you knew you couldn't pick her up, what would you try? And that part like frustrated me watching the match because I was like, you can tell that she couldn't deal with Lash. Like Lash was too tall for her, and it just didn't work out. So when that happened, just like she picks her up and they just go, boop, and I'm like, yeah, yeah. I didn't know what to think.
Yeah, this match felt. I felt nothing for the match other than disappointment. And more importantly, it. I don't know why it happened. They didn't give us a reason. They didn't. Like, have they had words? Like, is this the first time we've seen Lash Legend in like 4 weeks? Or a month? Or two? Like, we haven't seen Lash Legend on any show that I've done for Taking Over. And, like, it wasn't good. The match was alright for most of it, and then all of a sudden, everything just fell apart.
Yeah.
That splash still looks like the weirdest, stupidest splash. Like, I don't
mean to sound like this, and sorry if it's a bit offensive. I'm sorry, but it's like, can you spin or do something to make it look pretty and like visually appealing at least? But just like here, I'm gonna go on the top rope, bloop, and that's it. And I'm like, I feel like I'm watching Fall Guys, but in wrestling. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that finisher though. It's terrible.
Parrish coming in. I feel like saying Lash sucks is a direct insult to anyone who actually sucks. Like, I agree. Like, I don't like Lash Legend. Like, there were points in this match where I thought she was doing pretty well. But like I said, I wasn't invested in anything that either one of them were doing. So we're just going to move on because we should talk about good things. Like, I understand. Like, there's only so much you can say about a match that you don't feel and that it is a bad wrestling match. Because you know what? These people are professionals. And they're going out there and they're putting the bodies on the line and they're trying. They're not trying to have a bad match. They're trying to have a good match. It didn't work out tonight. But you know what? Go out there and try again. Because you're professionals and they're going to be better. Lash Legend's like an empty beer. You can only bring sadness and depressive thoughts and no one likes you. I'm sure... here's the funny thing. Lash Legend as a manager would be A tier. Lash Legend as a professional wrestler, D tier. We then had Toxic Attraction, finally getting a microphone 2 weeks later. This was the most rehearsed and edited video package in NXT history.
Like, remember, there's somebody we gotta not show on TV now.
The quick cuts that they used to make sure that the only image you saw of Mandy Rose was a shot that was zoomed out of Roxanne's championship celebration. If you didn't know that Mandy Rose was part of Toxic Attraction before 2 weeks ago, and all you saw was this video package, you wouldn't know she was ever in the group.
I feel like the Men in Black thing, I forget the name of the light, just like here, Mandy Rose.
Yep, Mandy Rose was neuralized from from everybody.
Who are we talking about?
I mean, he doesn't because you can't even search that name on the network. For good reason, you can't search that name on the network. That being said, I'm sure you can still search and find Mandy Rose content. Yeah, my drink's way over there. I'm not bothering to get up to go get it. But they vow that they're going to take down the person who took down their leader. They talked about a leader at Toxic Attraction. They didn't say her name.
There was a leader?
They said it because they talked about the woman that took down the woman who led us. That was the closest they came to mentioning her name. I was like, but what are people... To get back to some of the things we talked about on Making an Impact. If you're a new viewer to this show tonight, you're not going to understand why they're angry. and who they're trying to avenge because you edited every ounce of her out of the video package with the quickest cuts that they could do. Yes, Parrish. Searching Mandy Rose is why no, she's no longer there. We then got the Schism coming out to the ring. But first, we have to have a really awkward Braun Breaker promo segment. So, the promo segment Braun Breaker does is actually really good for Braun Breaker. They ask him about, last week, and he's angry, and he wants to go ahead and call out Grayson Waller. And she tells him that Grayson's not there. And I'm like, okay, cool. Go back to the ring now, we'll be all set. No, Grayson's left a video package that Braun Breaker watches for like the whole 2.5 minutes, it feels like. And the worst part is
like a tourism guide.
And they cut in and out. It's like all of a sudden you're just like watching Braun Breaker standing, and Mackenzie not knowing what the F is to do. Poor Mackenzie is so lost. Like, I don't know if she knew that they were cutting back to them, because she's just sort of standing there like, what's going on?
Just holding the microphone because she has nothing else she can do.
And then Braun Breaker breaks the TV. Because of course he does. Because they have to make him look like a strong boy. This is awkward. What did you think of the Grayson Waller video package? Because actually the video package is, I think, really cool.
Look, I'm going to go back to what I sent you. What did I send you before?
Okay.
What did I send you?
I'm going to bring up Parrish saying, if you mix Braun's promo skills and Lash's wrestling skills, you get the man that portrayed scripts. Okay, you don't like Reggie. We get it. We also have Mel Ball Collins jumping in to say, hello, beauties. Hello, Mel. And I will be able to work with Mel this Friday afternoon, so go ahead and check that out, and we'll talk about that more at the end of the show. Astrid, what did you send me earlier?
I don't know if I can find it. Okay, here. Feels weird watching Braun watches Grayson's clip. It's just like that back and forth they had of like showing him and Mackenzie and then whatever what Grayson was doing. And then that back and forth was terrible. It was like, okay, for the first time I like that we can actually watch somebody watching a TV at a regular normal angle. He was not sideways at least. But I was like, I don't need to see his reaction every 0.5 seconds when I'm trying to watch what Grayson's saying. It's like either concentrate on Braun or Grayson, but don't do both. But on the Grayson's end, I like that promo of him like going like, I'm home, like I don't need to be like you at the gym at 6 a.m. and staying there all day at the PC and training. Like I do it my own way, and I go to the beach, and here I'm enjoying myself and visiting home, and this is how I concentrate when I go to face you. Which I like how they show that different styles of them as even as characters. I already wanted to go to Australia. It makes me want to go to Australia even more now. But it just felt like a tourism guy. It's like, so if Grayson doesn't have a future in social media, do tourism, dude, because you're a really good tour guide. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like he shows off Brawny Beach. He shows off the Opera Sydney House, the Sydney Opera House, which, by the way, is one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen in the world. I absolutely love that building. They show off the bridge. I mean, it looks like every other bridge, so I don't understand what's so important about it, but cool, whatever. Parrish brings up a good one. Why not use a double screen here where you can have both? That would have felt a little bit better because you could have zoomed in on Braun's face and not had Mackenzie there, like not knowing what to do.
Yeah, and she could have been to the side too and just come in after he was done. But it just like other than that, it felt awkward just having her hold the microphone like this while she's watching with Braun, and just like I feel bad that she can't get out of it because she's already in the frame here. But I just like from Grayson's end, I like the promo though. But it just like that back and forth was not it though.
Grayson killed it. Grayson did a really good job. We then get the Schism versus Idris Enofe, Malik Blade, and Odyssey Jones. I like this match. I thought this was good. This is one of the other things that kind of drew me into this show. This was a fun match. The Schism works really well as a 6-man unit. Very quick tags. Very, very New Day reminiscent. And by the way, if when Biggie gets back, can I please have the Schism versus New Day at some point? Because that could be fun. I think there's a lot of fun to be had in that 6-man tag. The repeated dives to the outside to knock down Odyssey Jones is one of the more interesting things. Really innovative. Felt kind of indie, but at the same time, it made sense. Odyssey Jones is a big dude. I would have liked that a little bit better. I have a criticism. I would have liked it a little bit better if Gacy wasn't part of the constant dives in and out. Because Gacy's a big dude. When that
Mm-hmm.
dude comes leaping through the ropes at you, he's going to knock you over no matter how big you are. I didn't like the fact that Gacy kept bouncing off once or twice. That being said, I thought that that was a really innovative and different thing. The double doomsday device as part of the finish, really cool. The double knees to the face followed by Gacy's, for lack of a better term, lethal injection. Because that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what that move is.
Yeah.
It's a clothesline version of a lethal injection. But it's great. I love that move. It's all flash, no substance move, and I get that. But I love the way it looks. At least Lethal's makes a little bit of sense. Um, I had a lot of fun with this.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on, I'm going to, as the women's correspondent here, I want to go ahead and talk to you about Ava Raine. Talk to me about Ava Raine as part of the schism, as part of this match, and more importantly, the little bit she had with Booker.
Yeah, I was kind of confused at first with that, and because I didn't hear what she told him. All I heard was Vic telling him, "He's like, hey, are you okay, Book?" He's like, "Yeah, like I think I'm okay." But I was like, I didn't hear what she said to like not make him okay. But I like her presence there because I feel like she doesn't take away from the guys, but she also feels important at the same time. So I always like having her there for the matches. I wish it was like, for example, with the guys tonight. I know they don't have anybody, but it would have been cool to have a girl on the other side to involve her in there because I've been wanting to see what it's like for all four of them together as Schism. Because, like you said, I like the chemistry they had as as a trio tonight, but I want to see what it's like with Ava involved as well. And those dives, I love when it looked because at the same time is when I think it was Vic that kept saying, how many is he going to take to take down Odyssey Jones, and this is when they take him down. So I like that part of it, but I don't know if he heard what she said to Book. That's the only part that I
I
missed.
did. It's the basic. It's their motto. We're four roots, one tree. We're stronger together. And then she said, whatever they closed their promo with. Remember, they had a specific line that they closed the promo with earlier in the night. We're four roots, one tree. And I honestly forget the next line. But
Isn't it something like
it's
it keeps on growing or like
this is the
something like
best
that?
day of our lives or something like that. This is the best of our lives, like the best days of our lives. It's that whole, they're in the moment, and in this moment
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing better than what they've got going on. She feels like a presence. She feels like her. It's I For the first time in a long time, um, since really I'll go back to it, McGillicuddy. It feels like they've taken somebody's kid and made them feel incredibly special and different without having to immediately invoke who they are.
Mm-hmm.
We all know who she is, but they've done a good job in commentaries. Done a good job of not mentioning it too, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
nice, because it's the one thing that I think that Michael McGillicuddy, Curtis Axel, had an issue with, is that they eventually, like, while he didn't want to bring it up, commentary was more than happy to bring it up
Mm-hmm.
all the time,
Yeah.
and I think that was a hindrance to him. I like the fact that they're not doing it with Ava. But you're
Mm-hmm.
right. She fits in really well with these guys, where she doesn't feel like a manager. She doesn't feel like a girl in the group of the guys. She feels like a part of the group.
Yeah, and when I think about her, it makes me think back of like when Charlotte first joined NXT because they just wanted her to like not mention Rick in any way whatsoever. But I feel like her character, there was no way you could not do anything involving Flair in any shape, way, or form. But if they had done with Charlotte what they're doing now with Ava, just like in a way ignoring it, but also addressing it at the same time without really saying it. I feel like it would have worked for her at the beginning when they didn't want her to have any kind of relationship to Rick on screen. But like if you think about it later, if like you have her like she looks so much like him and it's hard for her not to do the pose and then do the woos and stuff like that. So it takes you off of there. Versus with Ava, just like she mentions family and tradition and like having things like that are related to the rock, but without saying the rock's name. So just like you if you know, you know, and if you don't, it's fine. You can find it later. But I like having that, and not only that, but I like how she's her own person. Even being The Rock's daughter. If you don't say that she's The Rock's daughter, you probably don't even notice it unless somebody tells you, which is something important too because she makes her own, her own career path in here without being related to her father in any way. I'm glad she was not in the bloodline. I'm glad she's doing something different aside from them and making her own mark here in NXT the way she is.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of vaguely referencing it, like you said. But at the same time, every time she vaguely references it, it's in the term of like family and everything else that everybody can relate to. It just so happens that her family's one that we know she's talking about one of the biggest stars in the industry. But, she talks about not getting along with her dad and, family being different and family not feeling special because, he wasn't around and this, that, and the other thing. I like that they vague reference him without saying the name Rocky. We then get Kiana James and Fallon Henley headed to the ring. But first, of course, because every commercial break had a but first this time, we had a Trick Mello promo. And it wasn't a great Trick Mello promo. It was really fast. It felt kind of by the numbers, which is sad to say about Carmelo Hayes because he didn't say a lot. And it basically set up 2 matches for next week. And we'll get to that when we get to the what happens next week section of the show. We get to Fallon versus Kiana James. Okay. I'm going to say something, and I'm going to hope that people don't chew my head off for this one. The girls felt like the most unimportant thing on the entire screen during this entire match. This match was purely so that we could have the outside drama going on between Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it, like I told you, it's like you kept looking at the guys, but you kept hearing Fallon screaming and grunting with everything that was happening, and it's like I hear her, but I'm looking at them though, so I feel like I'm not even watching her, and just like you keep looking at like them, like kind of it looks like they're bickering outside. It's like no, you gotta cheer for Fallon. It's like no, I don't want to, kind of thing, but your eyes just go to them. And it just like it sounds terrible because it takes away from the match itself. Now I bet you next week somebody's gonna go like, "Oh, this happened last week because I don't remember it happening because you're more focused on what's happening outside and it shouldn't be that way." It's unfortunate when that's happening, especially when there's ladies doing it. But yeah, just like not only, but I don't want to say I didn't like the match because it was okay, but I just like I kept hearing and focusing on Fallon just like screaming and her grunting. She does it so loud. Like I get it, you're supposed to sell that it hurts, but does it really have to be this loud? I feel like you don't hear Kiana, and all you hear is her doing everything. But either way, just the one thing I liked about Kiana here is the thing she's been doing the last couple of weeks, concentrating on a body part where she's doing it, and she does that very well. As like here, she's like concentrating on the ribs, on Fallon's ribs. So I really thought being the match and like the way WWE is, I thought Kiana was gonna win it because whenever something's on the line, the other person almost always wins it. So I kept thinking, I messaged you, like, I'm not looking forward to this match because I'm thinking Kiana's gonna win it. So I was very, very, very surprised that Fallon won. But I'm glad it finished up in the way it did, though, because it was such a different way of like, hey, like I tripped her and I'm taking advantage. It reminded me what happened with Julius earlier with JD as well, like taking advantage of that moment and taking that pin there. So it didn't feel like it was happening until it did. But I'm glad it happened the way it was because I like Fallon and I want her to do want her to show off more than what she's been doing with the guys so far.
But remember, it's not it. Yes, the finish happened almost exactly how you talked about it. There's one key part you left out. Jensen almost all the way up on the apron, asking Kiana if she's okay, which leads to the distraction that ends up with Fallon hitting.
I didn't notice that at first though. I noticed it in the replay though.
Oh, okay.
When they have him more towards the second rope, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed it right away. Because unfortunately for me, the men were the stars of this match, which is sad because the girls were the one who were having the match.
Mm-hmm.
But everything felt directed towards the guys on the outside. Like you said, Brooks Jensen kind of half cheering for Fallon and always being kind of worried about Kiana, and Briggs just being like, "Dude, come on, Fallon's our friend. You got to cheer on Fallon. She can't lose the bar." And even when she wins, like Fallon doesn't really notice it, but Briggs is like keeps basically kicking his tag team partner in the butt, being like, "Come on!" And he keeps checking on Kiana on the outside, trying to see if she's okay. I almost thought he was going to go to her to walk her up the aisle. I really
I
thought
thought,
they were going to go the
yeah.
whole way with it. I
Mm-hmm.
thought they were going to have him walk her up the aisle with a hurt ankle. If they
The
don't
way I
have a
saw him
segment,
though,
oh, go ahead.
yeah. So sorry, go. No, go.
I was gonna say if they don't have a segment next week with him checking on her backstage in the trainer's room,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really upset.
And the way I thought about it, because he kind of pushed Josh in a way to go towards Fallon to like celebrate when she was up in the turnbuckle, and he was probably falling back a little bit. So I thought they were gonna show him at least sliding down to sit next to her to kind of check on her, or even through the rope to like, "Hey, are you okay?" kind of thing. So I thought something like that was gonna have to give it a tiny detail of like he's not with the group, but he's more concentrated on Kiana. But I didn't notice that the interaction at first, like towards the end. So I kind of figured maybe next week or sometime later we're gonna get Kiana saying, "Oh, that that wasn't a fair fight because he distracted me, so it wasn't I won because you won because of him," kind of thing. But yeah, just like that little details, I wanted them to show it on camera of like him checking on her somehow closer when she was sitting by the apron though, even before
Yeah,
even leaving.
yeah. We then get a Roxanne promo, which she says it's like a dream that she never wants to wake up from, that she's the champ, and she knows that the girls are gunning for her. And then she throws a really weird line in that makes no sense with the rest of the promo. So she's talking about how she knows all the other girls are gunning for her. And then in the next breath, but all of the former NXT champions, NXT women's champions, are going to be Hall of Famers. And I'm going over the list going, all right. Like Emma, probably not. But then again, Emma never held the title. But Paige, maybe. Maybe she goes into the Hall of Fame. Charlotte, yes. Sasha, yes. Bailey, yes. Shayna, Asuka, yeah. I can see all that. Io Sky, maybe. Kairi Sane, maybe. Probably not. It depends on how light they are for female participants in about 15 years. Come on, let's be honest. Her WWE run wasn't that important. Like, she should go in the Wrestling Hall of Fame for a multitude of reasons, none of which are anything she ever did in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Roxanne, all of the former women's champions are going to go in the Hall of Fame. You do realize the one you just beat got fired. Like, they're not putting Mandy Rose in no Hall of Fame. They won't even say her name on TV.
Yeah. And that also another thing that made me think about it in this, I mean, I wanted to bring it up being that it's related. I feel like I know this is how I saw it. You tell me if you feel the same way. But I feel like if instead of Roxanne, if Mandy had gone the interview at the moment, right? I feel like right there we would have had some kind of way to have her connect to the opponent coming up. I feel like with Mandy we got opponent after opponent after opponent after opponent. And I don't know if it's because they're waiting to the new year to kind of reset in a way and build somebody up. But I feel like if this was Mandy, this would have been different than with Roxanne, because I feel like Roxanne being champion for what, 2 weeks now, almost three at this point, and we still have no like clear, and at least in the programming, because we have an idea, of course, that's a different story, but we don't have a clear idea of who her next opponent is. And I feel like with Mandy, she won over somebody, and like maybe the next week or two, we already had an indication of like this is the next one. And it's like we're getting a promo, an interview, something showing us the next person, or a match is like, hey, we're gonna do a match, and whoever wins it goes against Mandy. We always had something to like start that next feud for Mandy, and it feels weird that for Roxanne it's been 2 weeks, and we had an interview with Booker and this backstage interview, and we still haven't had anybody say like, Roxanne, I'm coming for you. And we haven't had Roxanne going, oh, I want to go against so and so. Like nothing in programming, like anybody of the girls mentioning they want to go against her.
Except
So
Toxic Attraction.
yeah, but they're not really going for like to beat her for the title, because it's probably just
They
gonna
said
beat
we're
her up.
gonna. They said we're gonna bring down the person who took out. Yeah.
Yeah, but is
I
any of them gonna be champion? It's just like you
I
don't see
think
it.
I think we're going. Ironically, I think we're building to potentially at. My guess is the way that we're building right now, we're building to a triple threat match at Vengeance Day, and I think it's going to be Gigi versus JC versus Roxanne. I think that's the first hurdle that we get to. I think we did have the first. I think tonight was the first shot thrown when Toxic Attraction said it.
Yeah.
I think they're saving Cora Jade because I think Cora Jade could be the one to win the title. Because as great as the story as it is Roxanne being champion, she's not going to have a 400-day reign. It's going to be a much shorter reign. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 PLEs, maybe 3, and I would honestly, I would have her drop the title, because as we all know, with the babyface, it's about the chase, not the championship run. I think it'd be fun to have her drop that title after WrestleMania, and I think you save Cora Jade, and you have Cora Jade do it.
Yeah, I would definitely say Verso the last one, if anything.
Because I think the way that this week has built, and we're about to get into the other segment of it, is I think the WrestleMania Stand and Deliver challenger, I think is Isla Dawn. I think Isla Dawn has been fast-tracked to a championship opportunity. With everything that's gone on and Mandy being, let go and everything else, I think we're looking at Roxanne versus Isla Dawn at Stand and Deliver. Yeah. I think we get one more match between Alba. We get the next week's match, and then maybe we get something either at New Year's Evil, and if we don't get it at New Year's Evil, they blow off that feud at Vengeance Day. And then I think Isla Dawn is the one who takes on Roxanne at Stand and Deliver. Because they've made sure to make her a focal point of everything on television since she debuted, as we talked about earlier. And the only reason you do that is if you want to make sure that you have her ready to go. I think she's being set and primed for Roxanne. And I think she was always being set and primed for Roxanne. Because I think we all thought Mandy was losing the title in New Year's Evil regardless, one way or the other. I don't think her losing the championship was a surprise. I just think it was a surprise that night.
Yeah.
Because I had even said weeks before that I thought she was going to end the year 2022 as champion, and then as soon as she wrestled again in 2023, she was dropping that title.
Yeah, but it feels different with Roxanne already compared to Mandy, and like I said, I don't know if it's the reset of them waiting for the new year, or because obviously the Mandy release happened at the same so suddenly. Yeah. But it feels like with Mandy, there was always an indication of who was next, right away. She was done with one person, we always had somebody next, and with Roxanne, we haven't had anything like that yet, and it feels strange, I would say, because I'm so used to Mandy finishing an opponent, and here that we have something set up for next time, and there's always a way of setting it up, and I feel like they haven't really done that so far, and it feels strange to me at first. But like you said, just I know it's gonna be Gigi and JC. They're not gonna win it most likely, but it's just that's coming, but not yet though. So it's when is it happening? If New Year's Eve happens, who's she really gonna go against? Because so far we don't have anything. So I think that was interesting to think about when I thought about her interview, because I was waiting for her to say somebody's name, and I want to go against so and so, but nothing yet. So that was interesting.
I think everybody I think they finally have a plan, but like we said, I think there was a plan for New Year's Evil. And then with all the Mandy stuff broke, they had to switch positions. So I think they're getting her story going now. But it took a backseat for a couple weeks while they reset what to do and have to do. Because Vengeance Day probably would have been Cora Jade the first time had she won it at New Year's Evil. It may have been a rematch with Mandy Rose. I don't know, but I think it would have either been Cora Jade or Mandy Rose if everything had gone the way it was supposed to go. But, she's the champion. She's going to have some good matches. We just got to get there. We had the Drew Gulak Invitational. I didn't like this. Did you?
The
Invitational.
I feel like I was half and half about it, because one thing that kind of threw me off was the part with Gulak and the microphone. I feel like the way it happened, just the way it threw me off, because I was thinking it's going this way. And it's I would have had Walker maybe outside of the ring, not in the ring as it was happening to, because I felt like he was gonna join in eventually, and even though he doesn't, so I would have waited for that part. But I just it felt weird having it, especially when it's hey, this is the person, and just here, coming next to show him off what to do. I feel like it would have been nicer to see him kind of do it like in a ring, like in a wrestling school type of thing, like the way they've been doing it lately, rather than live right there. So I don't know, that setup to me was kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was weird. Gulak makes 3 guys submit. One guy, he puts him in a chicken wing. He has no idea it's coming. The second one, he kind of wrestles around with an amateur wrestler, but he wrestles around with him and eventually puts him in a sharpshooter. Well, a version of a sharpshooter. It ended up more like a figure 4 leg lock at the end. And then he wrestles around with the third guy. If I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be mistaken, I believe the third guy was the deaf wrestler that we saw a video package about on digital about 2 months ago. How WWE had signed because with all these wrestlers, Gulak kind of just walks around and talks. But when he starts talking to the third guy, he makes sure he's leaning in and he's looking directly at him. That's why I think it was him. That being said, he makes him tap out too, but this guy gets the better of him for a little bit. And Gulak doesn't like it. And the first 2 times, he makes sure to point out to Hank, as soon as you feel a tap, you let go. That dude had to tap a whole bunch before Gulak let go because he did not like getting shown up.
Yeah.
We then get Hank Walker in there. He breaks it up. Then out comes Charlie Dempsey. And Charlie Dempsey goes ahead and challenges Gulak to be part of the Invitational. And Gulak doesn't like the idea. And somehow there's a match with Hank Walker next week. And I'm like, great. I just want this guy to sing about football. Like, he feels like the country singer who sings the Monday Night Football theme. Well, the old one, not the new one. The new one's Carrie Underwood. That's Sunday Night Football, but that's besides the point. Anyways, this was a kind of a wash of a segment for me. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It just happened. I think it would have been a whole lot better if it was a pre-produced video package.
Yeah.
We had before the Invitational, after Gulak had come out and announced the Invitational, we had the Isla Dawn portion of the Alba Fire promo package, which I love the dueling promo packages. It's great. Isla Dawn's character is so full-formed and so connected. I don't think she's a witch, but at the same time, I know her character believes she's a witch, which is more than we can say for Taylor Wilde. And if anybody doesn't know about that segment, you can go ahead and watch Making an Impact on twitch.tv/Astrid Pizarro. And you can go ahead and find out what I thought about not Isla Dawn talking about being a witch on before the Impact. It's a pretty self-standard promo package. We get the lineup for next week. It is a Waller effect with Braun Breaker. The week before the PLE, well, I say a PLE. It's going to be a normal Tuesday New Year's Evil show. We get Axiom versus Trick Williams, which is one of the matches set up earlier in the Trick Mello promo. The other match is Carmelo Hayes versus Cruz. I really thought this was going to be a match for New Year's Evil.
Right?
I still feel like it's going to be a match for New Year's Evil. I don't think this match has a conclusion. I think Trick gets involved and we end up getting... Either that or the match at New Year's Evil is going to be the tag match. Cruz and Axiom versus Trick Mello. And of course we have Alba Fire versus Isla Dawn, and what I have is an Extreme Rules match. What they're advertising as an Extreme Resolution match. That almost sounds as bad as a Pitch Black match. And if you've been on the internet this week, you understand what I'm talking about.
Or YouTube.
But we get to the main event. Wesley versus Tony D'Angelo. This was fun. This was a really good, fun match. They had time. They got almost 20 minutes, it felt like. I think they did intros about 20 minutes before the hour. Like, they gave this match a little bit of time, which is unusual. Because normally these main events lately have been right at the end. They went through at least 1, maybe 2 ad breaks. I thought it was a really fun match. These guys really work well together. Stacks is on the outside of the ring, and Tony D'Angelo's getting ready to go up for some kind of second rope move. And Dijak comes out and just kidnaps Stacks. By the way, Stacks has a first and last name again. Is that new, or is that something I just never noticed they do? But when they were introducing Tony D'Angelo, Vic gave him a first and a last name. I mean, I know he's had the first and the last name before, but I never remember it always got shortened down to just Stacks. He is now back to being Channing Stacks Lorenzo, which I really think they just should have gone with Channing Tatum. Like,
I thought about that.
Like I because it'd just be funny. Like, I know you can't, but it'd be funny if you could. What do you think of this match?
Yeah, I kept thinking the same thing. The same thing that happened between Manly Rocks. They're like, this is really close to the end. Are we gonna have enough time for this? But I like how even with each other, the West kept focusing on Tony's knee, and the same thing with Tony. That back and forth is like they back and forth was focusing on each other's knees to see like who will get the other one. One part that definitely like had me was when Tony was just dropping West on the commentary table with his knee there, like knee first. It was like, holy crap. But yeah, I feel like they had a good back and forth, and I enjoyed it. And then having Dijak come in, it was just exactly how it should have been in that aspect of it. We already knew that was going to happen somehow because of what Stack said earlier, so I thought that was pretty funny to think about when it did happen. But yeah, I'm glad it obviously it was a stick to West being champion, so it makes sense to the way it happened.
Yeah, it was fun. It was all right. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. It got just enough time to make it feel like an important match without having to have too much time or drag out a bit. But it was a pretty good match. I really enjoyed it. Wesley wins after Dijak kidnaps Stacks. Triple threat, I'm assuming, at New Year's Evil?
Yep, most likely.
The New Year's Evil card, considering the show's 2 weeks away, is it's one match. As of right now, that card is one match. It's the World Championship match.
Yep.
That's not good. Now, mind you, they have plenty of stories. Oh, I'm sorry, no, 2 matches. Indusher versus the Creed Brothers is also announced for the show.
Yeah.
I mean, this was an okay episode of NXT. But again, like I said, I talked about it on Impact, and I'll say it here too. When a show's not good, I'm going to call it out. This wasn't a great NXT. Everything that happened on the show was fine, but they're not doing a lot of the things that I expect to have happen from NXT. They're not doing those things that we expect NXT to do and do well. They continue to push the women's division. We didn't see hide or hair of the tag team champions this week. Either set. Male or female. No mention of it. Which is surprising because I figured they would have filmed something with New Day and just had some kind of backstage segment to pop in there. Maybe that's the match we get for the tag titles. Maybe that's another match we can add on. But don't go ahead and add on because you know what? During Christmas time, during the New Year, we all make resolutions. We all want to get healthy. You know what can help elevate your workout? Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy, and guess what? If you go through us, you can go ahead and I need to press buttons. That's the button. RogueEnergy.com and use the promo code OLEPODS. You can go ahead and scan the QR code just below Astrid there if you want to go directly to it. Or you type it in, RogueEnergy.com. Use our promo code OLEPODS and get 10% off your order. Again, I'm loving the watermelon. It's such a great taste. I really enjoy it. I know Mel has said that the Sour Patch Kids flavor is really good. All kinds of great flavors. Go on there and check it out. They have free samples. Like, you can go on there and you just pay for shipping and you get like 3 free flavors to really get yourself an idea as to what's going on. The Blood Orange, yes. Mel, thank you for jumping in there. The Blood Orange is also a really good flavor. Paris says get the new Metal Shaker. All kinds of good stuff on there. Go on their website. They have all kinds of great things. The holidays are a great time. You can go ahead and give this to somebody you love. You can go ahead and give it as a gift to yourself for the new year. Because we're getting to that time of the year where we got to go ahead and get ourselves in shape. Because the summer bodies are already coming. You know, we got to get ourselves summer body ready. I mean, mine's already ready, but, you know, we won't talk about that. But go ahead and go to rogueenergy.com, use OLE pods to get 10% off your order, and you can go ahead and do that. Astrid, you're going to go ahead and give your natural star rating of the night for this week's NXT. I don't think this is going to be a high number. And while you're at it, I'm going to throw your stuff down on the bottom, and you're going to tell everybody where they can find you after you give your star rating of the night.
Jeez, the pressure.
I can give you the big screen if you want.
No, thanks. I'm good. Don't do it. I want to be nice, but it wasn't good for me, so I'll give it like a 2. Sorry. It's not it for me.
That's what I'd give it. About a 2. Like
2.5.
I wasn't drawn into the nothing they did other than the main event and the Gacy stuff really drew me in. The Isla Dawn stuff is great, but it's a promo. It takes 30 seconds. Where can the people find you this week? What do you got coming out? What did you already have released that's already gaining a ton of traction?
Jeez, a ton. Thank you to Mandy Rose for retweeting my piece about her. Women's Wrestling Talk released the top 25 women, and Mandy was 22. So I had the pleasure of discussing the former champion, and she was retweeted. So I'm guessing she read it. I hope. So yeah, you can find that on their link. I have it on my Twitter linked up. And my episode with Ella, Wrestling Gal, we predicted our Evolution 2 card if we had the money to book it. So our fantasy booking episode happened. But aside from that, you can find me here back on Tuesdays with you doing Taking Over. I don't know if there'll be a Making an Impact this week. We'll see what happens. But if there is one, Thursday at 10:30 p.m., just letting you know, just in case it does happen. This week I won't have an NXT review for Women's Wrestling Talk. I have the week off, but the next week I'll definitely have one for NXT, which I'm glad because this week would have been a good review for me to do anyway. And you can find me on my Twitter, Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram, Astrid Pizarro20. There, I did it.
Yeah. For me, mostly much of the same. You can find me on Twitter at edfries12584. You can find me on my own personal Twitch at edfries2002. Coming this Friday, I have a special project going on. I get to work with some really cool friends of mine. I have Mel Ball Collins, Astrid's partner on the Ladies Wrestling Showcase. I have Cody Defoe, Astrid's partner on Making an Impact. I have my good friend Lauren Goodnight from the Call of Unity joining me to do a special single brand perspective of end of year wrestling awards. We're going to be talking about match of the year. We're going to be talking about feud of the year, show of the year, and wrestler of the year, male and female, for all of the for a bunch of the promotions. But the difference is those of us that are reviewing it predominantly watch one type of wrestling. Mel Ball Collins is going to go ahead and talk about Stardom in New Japan. Cody is going to take the Impact angle. My good friend Lauren Goodnight is going to go ahead and represent AEW. She's very excited for this. I've been talking to her all day about it. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and take NXT and WWE. Most of us only watch those one types of wrestling, so it's going to be an interesting thing where we're not talking about the landscape of wrestling as a whole, because none of us really cover the whole landscape of wrestling. We all cover a little bit of it. So it's going to be fun to do. It'll be a little bit different than most year-end awards. It'll be broadcasting this Friday on my own personal Twitch and here on Taking Over at 11:30 a.m. on Friday afternoon. Yes, I understand most people won't watch it then. However, we'll be trying to do a replay. I have a way I think I can do this to go ahead on my own personal Twitch and the OLE Twitch if I can figure out how to do it. We're going to do a rerun at 7 p.m. leading right into the big SmackDown this week, because SmackDown this week is main evented by Kevin Owens and John Cena versus Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Big match, so we're going to go ahead and try to lead you right into the SmackDown show there. So go ahead and catch the four of us, 11:30 a.m. to catch us live and be a part of the chat. To go ahead and catch us at 7 o'clock, where hopefully I will be in the chat, going ahead and chatting with those who can watch it. Otherwise, it'll be on the OLE YouTube and things like that once we go ahead and get everything. Yes, as our friends at OLE say, and will be on our YouTube. So there will be plenty of places to watch this. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be something different. And for me, it's going to be great because I get to work with people that I don't get to work with. Working with Cody is going to be something fun. I haven't done that since... It's been a while. I've never worked with Mel on a one-on-one show, so that's going to be really cool to be able to work with her. I'm stealing all of Astrid's co-hosts.
Apparently. I mean, all my three co-hosts are in one show. What the heck is this?
So go ahead and make sure that you catch us for that. It is going to be a time to be had. That being said, we're going to go ahead and start to call it a show here. Everyone. Not every one of Astrid's co-hosts. Her current co-hosts. I think Parrish is upset that he's not included in that because I've been stealing. I'm not stealing all of her co-hosts.
Well, let me. I'm gonna make you feel better. I shouted him out during the Wrestling Gal episode because we did the. With that being said, so I had to have Ella try to drink, but she didn't have anything to drink. So he's the first couple minutes of the episode if you watch it, so he can complain about this.
With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start raiding. So we are going to go ahead and raid the Dalton Castle, who's doing some artwork tonight. He is a fantastic performer. I mean, most of you should already know who this man is. He's fantastic. If you haven't seen him in the ring, please go ahead and check out some of the Ring of Honor stuff he's done. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. So we're going to go ahead and start raiding Dalton Castle in a moment. So thank you for joining us. I've been Ed Fries. That's been Astrid Pizarro. This has been Taking Over, and we will see you next time. No, where's the old video?
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming